So let's talk about the first thing that we've seen a lot of news about, and that is the fact that there is apparently no taxes on overtime pay and tips. There is a half truth that if you make a certain amount of income or less, you would not have to pay taxes on it in a roundabout way. In order to explain that roundabout way, you have to remember how taxes work in the first place. You start with the total amount of money that you earned. You can then reduce the amount of income on which you pay taxes using above the line tax deductions. After you've reduced your income using those deductions, you then have to choose between either the standard deduction or itemizing your own expenses. You can lower that taxable income even further. And then after you have done that, you're in this kind of weird no man's land, because this no tax on tips is a really unique deduction that comes into play after you have taken your above the line and below the line deductions. What that means is any taxpayer can use this as well if they're in an industry that caters itself to tips. So this is something where if you are in the income bracket where as a single filer you make less than $150,000, if you're a joint taxpayer and you make $300,000 or less, you are able to use this deduction in full up to $25,000. Now, just like many deductions, after you reach those income levels, there's a phase out, meaning your ability to take the entire deduction starts to reduce based on how much you're earning. For this particular deduction, that phase out for a joint filer is between $300,000 and $550,000. So that's a pretty high income range, not necessarily for tips. I don't know that many bartenders who are making that range, but when you consider the fact that this is relevant to overtime pay as well, that's a pretty high income range where if you're receiving overtime and time and a half, you can start to take this deduction. So this is a pretty unique deduction that ropes in a larger percentage of people than you're probably thinking when you consider overtime pay being counted that you can use for the next few years. I say next few years because, as I discussed, this is a temporary tax deduction that expires at the end of our current president's term.